Chiron is stationary at the 17th degree of Aries. It's been going forward and now it's stopped and it's going backwards. This is an important thing to consider. Chiron is emphasizing the 17th degree of Aries. And I think it's important for us to consider which expression of Aries we're discussing here. It's attainment. The 5 degrees from 16 to 20 Aries, that batch is called attainment. And it begins with the brownies dancing in the setting sun, Aries 16. Now this is all about tuning into nature spirits and just developing that sense of awareness of the subtle knowledge and feelings that there can be found in life before going into 17 Aries, where it's been for a few weeks, which is the 2 prim spinsters. This is all about seclusion. So this is the emphatic message of the moment. We need to spend time alone to tune in to what's going on. And if you just think about that for a minute, we do, don't we? We don't really get what's going on at the moment unless we look quietly to how we feel, because there's so much information and opinion and speculation about what's all going on. I mean, the changes that are in front of our face at the moment are huge, and we can say, well, it's always been that way, and yes, to some extent that's true. There's always news, there's always change, but if you look deeper and you get a sense of how deep this change is, you'll be aware that it's rare, that this doesn't happen very often in a lifetime, the degree of change through which we're going at the moment. And we won't know that unless we just go deep within ourselves. The prim spinsters, these are 2 old ladies who've worked out how to live quietly together. Poise and serenity develop when we spend time in peaceful solitude, turning within to experience our true selves. Now, I've gone into this a few weeks ago, so I won't go into the depth of it. But that sense of awakening a deeper level of self-knowledge enables us to awaken a deeper level of the knowledge of reality. And that means the zeitgeist. That means what's going on right now, the spirit of the age. That's what we're tuning into. Something's changing. And we're studying that in this degree through Chiron. Now, Chiron is basically all about shifting our perception. Its association with healing and the woundedness being turned into a healing process is fundamentally about shift of perception. In other words, thinking differently. Now, since everything comes from mind, you have to think differently if you want a different result in the world. You have to change your mind. And that means changing your perception and changing your projection of thought into the world. That's not easily done. We've been programmed so very deeply how to think and punished if we don't think the same way as school teachers, parents, religious leaders, and so on. They wag their fingers at us if we don't think the way that they do. And yet Chiron is saying, well, that wasn't okay. It doesn't work. It didn't work for them. It doesn't work for us. Change it. Change the way you think. Now, you can't do that if you're busy. You need to do that when you have this ability to turn within. The essential message of most spiritual practice is this: turn within. By all means, master the outer world. Fine, great exercise. But turning within is where the real work is done. And we use breathing techniques and visualizations and other concentrations, mantra, for example, to retrain the mind away from the crap that it's been given. Marketing directors, politicians, parents, other liars, they've destroyed the tranquility that the mind needs in order to be aware of what is. And they've bullied us into thinking a certain way, their way, the way that supports the political and consumerist attitudes of various power possessors. Now, to undo that damage, we need to spend time alone. So this is quite a lot to do with underlining the importance of meditation and reducing your commitment to be the same as the other people in your social group. In other words, let yourself be a bit marginal, hovering around the edges of things, looking on without becoming too involved. And you'll see things differently. You'll see what you have not seen before. We also can understand that this expression of Aries, attainment, is mostly an inner experience, mostly the route to attainment. Let me read out that summary for you. These are the 5 degrees of Aries, 16 to 20, that comprise the expression attainment. The deep mystical awareness of essence in the brownies, Aries 16, can bring on the need for seclusion as a way to deepen self-knowledge, SPINSTERS. And we learn that by tuning into natural rhythms. This is the empty hammock. We can train ourselves how to release the grasping mind. This is the magic carpet. And so to access the mystery of being innocent and fearless in love. Girl feeding birds in winter. So attainment is not really about bullying and pushing and overcoming challenges outwardly, so much as just tuning in to a sense of self which is subtle and secluded very often, rising above mainstream thought, doing what's appropriate in the moment, feeding the birds and so on. These are all aspects of attainment. So the attainment we're talking about, it's not worldly. It's an inner sense of being right with yourself, doing the right thing, distinguishing between what is false and what is true in the spoken word. These are the mysteries of attainment, and they're subtle mysteries, despite the reputation of Aries for not being very subtle. The Sabian symbols tells us differently. There's a great deal of inner reflection underlined within Aries, especially this attainment expression. Now, Chiron is stationary. It's been going forward, and now it's stopping and going over old ground. It's going to go back. So we're still into the SPINSTERS energy. It's a good time to spend time alone in seclusion. And then we're going back further into the 16th degree of Aries later and tuning in once again to the nature spirits. So the time for reflectiveness, inner sense of what's going on is upon us. And this is really deeply underlined, especially today.